Welcome, Tiny Hands, Big Dreams. So today we're going to do a postie special. There's a bunch of posts we're using for our house. They're basically just trees. In the midst of trying to open up garden and space for the animals, we've cut them down and we've saved them to use. Now what is interesting is we are at the edge of a rainforest. So we're trying to use a natural product in a very aggressive environment. We have a ton of subterranean insects. We have ground-dwelling termites. We have very, very hungry ants. Tons of rain, an amazing amount of rain. An inch of rainfall a day is like not even a day for us. So we're going to show, as just a quick video, what we're doing to try and keep our posts to survive a reasonable lifetime in what is going to be a house of sticks and mud with hopefully a sheet metal roof. But otherwise, we're going to build it out of pretty much all natural materials with a few small exceptions. We're not purists on that one. So let me show you the steps that we take. So the first step we take with our posties after we cut them down is we get the bark off, which we've already done. I did a video, made ourselves a draw knife out of some local found materials, bits of the van. That pulls the bark off. We let them sit for not that long. Honestly, these logs are somewhat green. I'm going to gently burn the outside of it right now. This is just to take the fuzz off and give it a toasted marshmallow kind of effect. It helps in the weathering. It toughens the outside of the wood. It helps keep the bugs off a little bit. There's going to be some time between when they're standing and when we actually enclose them in a wall. So the first step is we're just taking a torch and just sort of slow rolling up the log. And I'm just looking for it to turns brown, turns black. Sometimes if I sit here a little bit longer, you'll see a little bit of extra flame sort of start to come off. That's the gases coming out. There we go. Starting to burn the wood a bit. So this is the part that's going to be in the ground. So I'm going to burn this to a goodly crisp, including the end grain. I'm going to give the whole thing a light sweeping. If there's ants or bugs or something living in it, that will kill them, and it gives us a little bit of weather protection. So let me go ahead and do that real quick. So now we've got the outside burned. We've killed any insects that may have burrowed in the outside. We've burned off a little bit of fuzz left over of bark, which would aid in holding moisture and making it rot. The next step is I'm going to actually oil the bottom of it, and we're using a mixture of a solvent and old motor oil, because it does a good job of repelling moisture, and it will protect the wood from moisture ingress. We'll show you that next. So here is a lovely mixture of semi-synthetic motor oil. It came out of our van. They always say if you put this in the ground that it takes decades to actually decompose. Excellent. Excellent. That's actually going to work for us. So by doing this, one, I'm finding a way to environmentally dispose of my used motor oil. But in reality, I'm using it to treat the wood so that nothing wants to grow on it, live on it, burrow into it, or even just rot from moisture exposure. So when I was a child, my great-grandmother and my great-grandfather had, in the basement of the house, they had a little wood shop. It wasn't big, it was like 6 feet long. But he liked to work on little wood projects around the house. And I remember outside he had this wood box of scraps and cutoffs. They didn't throw anything away. They lived through the Depression. They saved every little bit, use it somewhere. And it had an old piece of some sort of wood that they had as a top on it. And it had been there my whole childhood. There's pictures when I was 2 years old out in the backyard at 4th of July, and that box was still there. So at some point, with help of my grandfather, I was like 14, we won the lottery. We got like 5 out of 7 numbers on Powerball. Told me to pick numbers. And then he goes, well, you picked them. What do you want to do with the money? Now, because so many people played, it was like one of the first mega ones. So like 10,000 people had to split the winnings for the 5 out of 7, whatever it was. It was like $600. That was a huge amount of money to me. I said, I want a motorcycle. So I go, local Honda dealer. We find the literal cheapest bike that they will sell us in the back of the warehouse. It's not actually running. That was another whole deal. And we buy it. It's an old Kawasaki 100cc. I love that thing to death. I rode it for years and years and rebuilt it and rode it some more. Now, where this story is going is, well, it was still at my great-grandmother's house because we had to hide it there so my mom didn't find out, because she would kill several family members, including myself, for having a motorcycle. I changed the oil on it, on the gearbox, and I set it in an open container on the roof of said wood box, which didn't even really contain wood anymore. I don't even know that it was in use. It was just some old box behind the house. And something happened. It got spilled. Dang it, used motor oil all over the wood box. I thought I was going to be in trouble. So I went and I found an old rag, and I wiped it up, and I realized that old piece of wood, it's probably 15 years old, it's weathered, it's cracked, it looks horrible. Actually, it looks better. It's kind of shiny. Now it's got some blackness to it, yeah, for sure. But it looks better. All right. So I wiped it all around. Make it all even, I did the whole thing. I wiped the whole top of that piece of wood. Actually, I was kind of pleased. Like, that looks really good. And then I watched it for years thereafter, outside in the rain, continue to look okay. Now, that wasn't a surface that anyone really used or cared about, so it didn't need to be food safe, or, nobody's going to touch it. It was just an old wood box. But that wood glowed and was pretty and resisted water for a long time. So, here I am. What do I have? And this is a common theme with, what do we have? How do we make it work with whatever we have? Don't have the money to just go buy stuff. What do I use? Well, I have fire, which is a Japanese technique of shosuji. Don't quote me on the spelling or the pronunciation. I probably murdered it. But the Japanese art of burning wood to preserve it. You burn the outside a little bit, and it preserves it. And they use it for the exterior of houses. It's actually kind of popular. It came out of the need to do so because that's what they had. They had fire, and they didn't have wood preserver back in the day. So we're going to use it. Now, the end grain gets an extra coat here because it sucks it up. Okay. So hopefully this is our second form of protection for said postie. And so far, money spent is near zero. All right, let's move on to the next step. Turtle boy with the tub. All right, let's get it going. All right, so we have our postie. We've barked it, dried it slightly, mostly. We have burned it gently. We have oiled the bottom of it. Now, to put it in said hole, we have dug a small hole, as small as we can possibly do with a shovel. Put a little bit of large gravel in there, packed it down, mixed up some cement, concrete actually. All right, so we're going to go ahead and put a good shovel in the bottom. Boom. Good. So that just gives us, no, we're good with that. So that just gives us some concrete that's going to be under the post. So we've completely enveloped it. It's really important to not have voids where water could leak or bugs could get in. This is if it was just for strength, and we've done it in some other places, we've just done rammed earth around the post. Dug a hole, set the post, and then just put the dirt in an inch or two at a time and pounded it with a post. And actually, incredible strength. Like, it's really good as long as it's kept dry, and there's always the specter of bugs and termites eating it from the bottom up. They'll dig in 3 or 4 feet deep. So that's kind of why we're arming it in cement. Otherwise, we wouldn't use the cement at all. All right, let's go ahead and get it up. Okay, so because it's going to be some time until we get a roof over it, which we have to find some way to buy. That's another problem. We found some old plastic when we moved here that was actually just buried in the yard. Some previous person had set up some sort of greenhouse or something up here. We're not really sure, but we think there was at one time a little bit of greenhouse. So this old plastic still serves a purpose, and it's protecting the top surface of the wood, which I've also burned and given just a little bit of oil. And this will just keep the rain off until we can get a roof up. Now, we've attached strings. I got 3 strings that I'm going to pull in 3 directions so I can properly set the post to vertical. All right, let's go ahead and get it up. This is just a little one. The other ones required the whole family. It's good posting. This one is just a little helper post in between bigger ones. It's not a big deal. Alrighty. Now I've got myself a couple of sticks that I've left in the ground. That is my center lines so that my walls are in the right spot. I need that face that way. I'm going to use the natural V of the post to cradle the beam that runs across here. So that points that way. It's centered on that. It's centered on that. Excellent. And now Eli's going to give me a hand, and we're going to go ahead and tie it out. Okay. All right, so here, post is standing. Now this one is tiny, and it's the only one that's cut to final height. The rest of these are long, and they're going to have to be measured and cut. But this one, because of the Y, had to be set at exact height. I had to cut the bottom rather than cut the top. But I like using the Ys just to cradle the posties, the top timber across the wall there. So we got it strung up, we got it leveled. Now let's just go ahead and get some concrete in the pole. Hole. I said hole. So get some of these, a few shovelfuls, and I find a pokey stick. Which turns out is just the right size and shape. to get in there and make sure I have no voids. Good. Bueno. It's another postie set. Take a step back. There we go. And that's it. So the postie sitting in concrete is a mild barrier to moisture, but is permeable. And the oil in the wood helps stop some of that. Now this isn't a dry location. This is going to be inside of a wall made of sticks and clay and under a sheet metal roof, and it is the exterior wall of the house. So that is the retaining wall over here. So this ground should stay pretty much permanently dry. Maybe a little bit of moisture, that rain blows in from the side. We're planning a 3-foot overhang, which is important in a house made of sticks and mud. Now, for reference of where we're at, I'm going to get back here. And that, let's see, that is a bathroom sink drain. That is a to-be-cut toilet drain. That is a to-be-cut shower drain. That one has the trap down below. It's buried. So the bathroom is 5 feet wide and I want to say 7 or 8 feet long. And that's where it's going to be. All right. And that is what we were doing with our posties, hoping that they live a good long time and give us good service without spending a ton of money. Thanks for watching. Hope to catch you for the next one.